It was a quiet morning in Tom's apartment. The sun was shining through the window, and the birds were singing outside. Tom woke up to the sound of his alarm clock. He stretched his arms and yawned. "Good morning," he said to himself as he got out of bed. Tom was a young professional, and today he had many things to do. He looked at his to-do list for the day. There were 3 main tasks: go to the bank, visit the doctor, and have lunch at his favorite cafe. "I need to get ready," he thought. He walked into the bathroom, turned on the light, and began brushing his teeth. "First, I need to brush my teeth," Tom said while looking at the mirror. After brushing his teeth, he washed his face and got dressed in a comfortable shirt and pants. "Now I'm ready for the day," he said with a smile. Next, Tom went to the kitchen to have breakfast. He opened the fridge and took out some eggs and bread. "I think I'll make some scrambled eggs," he said. He started cooking. As the eggs cooked, he took out a cup and poured some orange juice. Breakfast is important, he thought. He sat down at the table, ate his meal, and checked his watch. It was already 9 a.m. Tom quickly grabbed his bag, put on his shoes, and left the apartment. "I have a busy day ahead," he said to himself as he walked out the door. The weather was nice, and he could already feel the energy of the new day. Tom walked down the street, enjoying the warm sunshine. It was a beautiful day, and he was excited to get his tasks done. After a few minutes, he arrived at the bank. He stood outside for a moment, looking at the big glass doors. "Time to open my new account," he said with determination. He pushed the door open and walked inside. The bank was busy with people talking to the tellers. Tom went up to the counter and waited in line. After a few minutes, it was his turn. The friendly bank clerk smiled at him. "Good morning. How can I help you today?" she asked. Tom smiled back and replied, "Hi, I'd like to open a new account." "Sure. I'll need some information from you," the clerk said. She gave Tom a form to fill out. "Please fill out this form, and I'll be with you in just a moment." Tom sat down at a nearby table and filled out the form carefully. He wrote his name, address, and phone number. It wasn't difficult, but it was important to be careful with the details. Once he finished, he walked back to the counter. The clerk took the form and said, "Great. Now I just need your ID and proof of address." Tom reached into his bag and handed her his ID card and a recent utility bill. The clerk looked at them and nodded. "Everything looks good. You're all set. Welcome to our bank," she said, handing him a small card. Tom was happy. "Thank you very much," he said. "I appreciate your help. You're welcome." "Have a great day," the clerk replied with a smile. As Tom walked out of the bank, he felt proud of himself. "That was easier than I thought," he said, feeling confident. Now on to the doctor's office. Tom walked down the street, heading to the doctor's office. It was just a few blocks away from the bank. The weather was still nice, and he was feeling good after successfully opening his new bank account. "Now it's time for my checkup," he said to himself as he looked at his watch. "I hope everything goes well." When he arrived at the doctor's office, he went inside and walked up to the reception desk. A friendly woman looked up and smiled. "Good morning. How can I help you today?" she asked. "Hi, I have an appointment for a checkup," Tom replied. The receptionist checked her computer and nodded. "Okay, please take a seat. The doctor will see you shortly." Tom sat down in the waiting area. There were a few other people waiting for their appointments as well. He picked up a magazine and flipped through it while waiting. After a few minutes, a nurse came out and called his name. "Tom Miller?" she asked. Tom stood up and followed the nurse down the hallway. "Yes, that's me," he said, feeling a little nervous. The nurse led him into an exam room and asked him to sit on the chair. "The doctor will be with you in just a moment," she said before leaving the room. Tom waited for a few minutes, feeling a bit anxious. He wasn't used to going to the doctor, but he knew it was important to take care of his health. Soon, the doctor entered the room with a warm smile. "Hello, Tom. I'm Dr. Stevens. How are you feeling today?" she asked as she sat down across from him. "I'm doing well, thank you," Tom replied. But I've been feeling a little tired lately. Dr. Stevens nodded and took some notes. I see. Let's take a look at your medical history and do a quick checkup. Can you tell me if you have any allergies or if you're on any medications? Tom shook his head. No allergies, and I'm not taking any medications. Great. Now I'll check your blood pressure and listen to your heart, Dr. Stevens said as she put on her stethoscope. She checked Tom's blood pressure and then listened to his heart and lungs. You're doing great, Dr. Stevens said with a smile. Everything looks good. Just remember to take it easy if you're feeling tired. It's important to get enough rest. Tom felt relieved. Thank you, Doctor. I appreciate your help. You're very welcome, Dr. Stevens replied. If you have any questions or need anything, don't hesitate to call. Take care. Tom left the doctor's office feeling better about his health. That was easy, he thought. Now I can head to the cafe for lunch. Tom walked down the street, feeling hungry after his visit to the doctor. It was almost lunchtime, and his favorite cafe was just around the corner. I'm looking forward to this lunch, he thought, smiling. The cafe was small but cozy, with a few tables outside and a warm, inviting atmosphere inside. As he entered the cafe, the friendly waiter greeted him. Good afternoon, table for one. The waiter asked. Yes, please, Tom replied. A window seat, if possible. The waiter nodded and led Tom to a table by the window. Tom sat down and looked at the menu. It had many options, but today he was in the mood for a sandwich and a cold drink. I think I'll have the turkey sandwich with a lemonade, he decided, smiling as he made his choice. The waiter came back to take his order. What can I get for you today? He asked. I'll have the turkey sandwich and a lemonade, please, Tom answered. Great choice. I'll bring it right over, the waiter said before walking away. Tom looked out the window while he waited. The street was busy with people walking by, and a few cars were parked outside. He felt relaxed, enjoying the peaceful moment. This is a nice break, he thought, thinking about the morning's tasks. A few minutes later, the waiter returned with the sandwich and lemonade. Here you go, the waiter said as he placed the food on the table. Enjoy your meal. Thank you, Tom said, smiling. He took a sip of the lemonade, then took a bite of his sandwich. This is delicious, he thought, feeling satisfied. The combination of the fresh turkey and crispy bread was just what he needed. As he ate, Tom noticed a couple sitting at the table next to him. They were speaking in English, and Tom could understand most of what they were saying. Would you like to go for a walk after lunch? The woman asked. Yes, that sounds great, the man replied. We could go to the park. Tom smiled to himself. He was glad to hear familiar words and phrases. I'm getting better at this, he thought as he finished his meal. He felt more confident every day. When Tom finished his sandwich, he asked for the check. The waiter brought it over with a friendly smile. How was everything? He asked. It was excellent. Thank you, Tom replied. He paid the bill and left a tip before standing up to leave. That was a great lunch, he thought. Now I'm ready for the next part of my day. Feeling satisfied after his lunch, Tom stepped out of the cafe and took a deep breath. The sun was still shining, and the city buzzed with energy. He reached into his pocket and pulled out his small to-do list. Bank account, check. Doctor's appointment, check. Lunch, check, he said, smiling as he marked off each task. Now, I just need to stop by the grocery store to pick up a few things. Tom walked down the street, enjoying the fresh air and the sound of the city. Soon, he arrived at the grocery store. He grabbed a shopping basket and headed inside. The store was busy, with people browsing the aisles and checking items off their own lists. As he walked through the store, Tom looked at his shopping list. Let's see. Bread, milk, apples, and coffee, he said, reading each item aloud. This won't take long. He started with the bread aisle, where he picked up a fresh loaf. Next, he headed to the dairy section and grabbed a carton of milk. 2 items down, 2 to go, he thought as he moved to the produce section. At the fruit display, Tom chose a few red apples and placed them carefully in his basket. Finally, he made his way to the coffee aisle. There were so many options that he paused for a moment, trying to decide. "I'll just stick with the one I usually buy," he said, picking up his favorite brand. With everything in his basket, Tom went to the checkout counter. The cashier greeted him with a smile. "Good afternoon. Did you find everything you needed?" she asked. "Yes, thank you," Tom replied as he placed his items on the counter. The cashier scanned each item while Tom pulled out his wallet. "That will be $15.75, she said. Tom handed her a $20 bill, and she gave him the change. "Have a great day," she said cheerfully. "You too," Tom replied as he picked up his grocery bag. Walking out of the store, he felt a sense of accomplishment. His list was complete, and everything had gone smoothly. As Tom walked home, he reflected on his day. "I did a lot today," he thought. "I opened a bank account, went to the doctor, had a nice lunch, and got my groceries. And I practiced so much English along the way." He smiled to himself, feeling proud of his progress. When he reached his apartment, Tom set down his groceries and sat on the couch. He took out his notebook and wrote a few sentences about his day. "Today was a good day," he wrote. "I learned new words, talked to people, and completed all my tasks. I'm getting better every day." Tom leaned back and smiled. He knew this was just the beginning of his journey, but he was ready for whatever came next. Later that evening, Tom sat at his small desk with a cup of coffee in hand. The room was quiet, and the warm light of his desk lamp created a cozy atmosphere. He opened his notebook and flipped back to the first page, where he had written his goals for learning English. "Practice every day, speak with confidence, learn new words," he read aloud. "I think I'm doing pretty well so far." Tom decided to review the key moments from his day. He started by thinking about the bank. "At the bank, I learned how to say I'd like to open an account. That was really helpful," he said to himself, writing it down. He also remembered the conversation with the teller. Using polite phrases like please and thank you makes a big difference. Next, he thought about his visit to the doctor. "I learned how to explain symptoms and understand simple questions, like how are you feeling?" Tom wrote down some key phrases, such as "I have a headache and I feel better now." Then, he smiled as he remembered his lunch at the café. That was a fun moment. "I used phrases like table for one, please, and I even listened to other people speaking English," he noted. It felt good to understand what they were saying. Finally, he reviewed his trip to the grocery store. "I practiced asking for things politely and understanding prices. I even remembered to say have a great day to the cashier," he said, feeling proud. Tom looked at his notes and took a deep breath. "I'm learning step by step. It's not always easy, but today showed me that I can do it," he thought. He closed his notebook and leaned back in his chair, feeling accomplished. As the day came to an end, Tom thought about his progress. "Every little conversation, every new word, it all adds up," he said with a smile. He set his notebook aside and looked out the window at the city lights. Tomorrow is another chance to learn something new. Tom felt a sense of excitement for the journey ahead. "One day, I'll speak English with confidence," he said softly, "and I'll remember that it all started with days like this." Thank you for joining Tom on his journey today. If you enjoyed this story and learned something new, don't forget to like this video and subscribe to our channel. By subscribing, you'll never miss another lesson or story to help you practice your English. Also, let us know in the comments, what was your favorite part of the story? Or share your own experience practicing English in everyday situations. We'd love to hear from you. Remember, every small step brings you closer to fluency. Keep practicing, stay confident, and see you in the next story.